Okay, it says it's 7 o'clock. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I suppose I was supposed to call the meeting to order, but I did that anyway. Next thing is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Louis moved and Jordan seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passed unanimously. Approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Louis moved and um,
Mike.
Mike seconded it. All those in favor of passing the minutes as recorded, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item is approve the amended rules of procedure. Did everyone or anyone look at that?
Yeah, I would move to approve the amended rules.
I'll second.
Okay, Jordan moved and Shep seconded it. Is there any discussion?
That just follows they changed the open meeting law and that this is the current practice. Where it has to be a roll call. Previously, that didn't happen on open meeting law.
Okay.
That's the reason.
So we all understand why they changed it. All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the approving the amended rules of procedure, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's passed. All right, updates, Board of Adjustment, Jordan.
We had one petition today that we tabled from last month that we'll be hearing for a CUP today. We approved two variances, one for feedlot setback and one for prime soils. And it was a split vote, 3-1.
Okay, that was the only item you had today?
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
If
all
you have
right.
any questions as we move on, I can answer them.
Yeah, we probably should let it go till then, yeah. Okay, fine. Marcia, County Board.
Did Everett have a question?
Yeah,
I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted to clarify with George, when you said variance on prime soils, was that on the number of regulated acres? Is that what the variance was for?
No, it's for a new dwelling on class 3 soils.
Okay.
County Board, Tuesday, we did hear the Lidl's solar. It did pass on a 3-2 vote. A lot of discussion, concerns about how close we're letting structures and things getting built on a scenic byways. And maybe there should be more setback with that designated route. And the scenic byways did a study, state study back in, I think it was 1999, and they are going to upgrade their study or look at it again for across the state of Minnesota, not just Winona County. And so we probably will be having some discussion. Surprisingly, Commissioner Vagley referred to it as an industrial application in a rural area, but he did vote to support it. By our rules as they currently stand, it was supported 3-2. Commissioner Elsing felt that he didn't have all the information he needed, and he admitted he'd been out of town and out of touch. And we've also had a little bit of technology problems in Winona County getting all the information we need. And I voted against it because I just felt that it was affecting the neighborhood inadvertently. That property values and things like that, but it did pass 3-2. But there will be more discussions about, especially scenic byways and particular areas within the county, what our setbacks are. We may want to change some things.
Okay. Updates on a comprehensive plan.
Good evening. Since the last time Planning Commission has met, there have been 2 steering committee meetings. They've discussed parks and recreation, community facilities, source water and wellhead protection. I think that's all of them. And then there's the next final steering committee meeting for discussion of the plan elements themselves is going to be sometime around the first week in May. I think the date's still getting decided, but that's going to be land use and intergovernmental cooperation. So that's typically the one that people are most interested in. But that one should be beginning of May.
Thank you. Okay, am I supposed to move for this table or should I introduce it first?
This
The,
one's not, the first one's not on the table,
oh,
right?
on,
Oh, it is? Oh,
on
I'm sorry.
mine it is.
Oh, it's just not in here. Okay, it's my bad, sorry.
Take it off, move, take it off. I'll move to take it off.
Okay, Louis moves, to take it off the table. Second,
I'll second that.
Jordan seconds it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passed. Okay, docket PC 04-16-2601. Olivia has it. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. So the first petition you have before you tonight, as Jordan mentioned, they did receive 2 variances earlier today for the dwelling on prime soils and then in relation to how close they were to a feedlot. The request before you tonight is because they are on less than 40 acres in the Ag Resource Conservation Zoning District. Try clicking once.
So I did have a quick question.
Mhm.
In the packet, it refers to docket 04-16-2601, but isn't it still the 03-19-2601?
That's
Yeah, it's under the table tab, so it's the same.
correct.
Okay,
Yep.
It's not a different. Yeah, okay, it's just the same. Thank you.
Yep, in the staff report.
I assumed
Yeah.
it was. but-
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. So the site itself, it's in section 34 of St. Charles Township. It's a 5.72 acre parcel. It's along Willnow Drive, and then Willnow Drive turns into Willnow Lane to the west of that parcel. Some of the overviews, so the home site there on the upper left aerial is outlined in red on their parcel. This structure has been built, so this is an after the fact conditional use permit request before you tonight. Similar to the variance, it was an after the fact variance as well. It looks like there's 2 separate structures, but it's one building. We're treating it as one structure, 2 separate roof lines. The larger building to the north of that home site is the petitioner's cabinetry making business that they did receive a conditional use permit for. The petitioner lives in the house that's just to the northwest of this parcel. He owns both parcels. The family that lives in this dwelling currently is his son and his son's family. His son is employed at the cabinetry making shop. So this is what we considered for Board of Adjustment earlier today. As you can see, it was prime soils, and then there's that feedlot setback as well. This just gives you a larger picture of the parcel boundaries. Some of the project considerations. Currently, the structure is used for extra storage and living space for their son and family. As I mentioned, he is employed on site. The 2 variances that were required were granted earlier today. And they both are considered after the fact because the structure is already there and being occupied. Some of the photos of the structure, so this is looking southeast. And you can see in the bottom left corner, there's that aerial image that kind of shows you where the photo was taken from. Willnow Drive is that green line, and then Willnow Lane is the purple. So where it transitions into that private lane, kind of on the corner of that fence line. This is just a closer up picture. Looking south towards the structure. Looking southwest. The petitioner does have some animals on site. You can see the fence pasture there. St. Charles Township did hear the petitioner on their January 20th meeting. They indicated no comments for the proposal. It should be noted that St. Charles has taken over their own zoning authority. So if the decision Regardless of the decision, I suppose, if they were to get approval from both the Board of Adjustment and the county board, any further permitting would go to St. Charles Township. So that includes zoning and septic as well. They would need to handle that permitting for this project. This one came in at a time when we were transitioning zoning authority to the township. And so St. Charles Township requested that we proceed with processing both the variances and the conditional use permit for this project. Our recommendation, as always, should that you consider all materials and testimony. The petitioner is here tonight, so if you have any questions for them, our analysis and draft findings do support granting the petition as a conditional use permit, and there are 4 conditions drafted that I can touch on if you'd like. Otherwise, any questions for me on the project? Louis?
Will the townships report when they do take their zoning plan, will the county be informed of their results? Or are you blind from what they do?
Ross might be able to answer that better.
Just
CMS has been contracted to administer the programs for both Saratoga and St. Charles. And they've indicated that they're going to share their files with us so that we can maintain consistent property files.
That's what I. Thank you.
Olivia, can you
Yes.
go back to what is our primary objective? Is that slide?
Yes, so the petition is before you tonight because they're requesting a dwelling to be on less than 40 acres. So the parcel is currently 5.72 acres, which is why they need a conditional use permit.
When was this parcel created, do you know?
I don't have that information.
Okay.
I know their CUP for the cabinetry making business, I believe is 2016, 2018. 2018. Okay. Petitioner might have the exact year for you.
And is the fenced off lot next to the cabinet shop considered feedlot or not?
So the neighboring parcel is considered feedlot, yes.
But they own that.
It's southeast of there. Or west, southwest, sorry.
And that feedlot is 50 feet or so from the new structure.
Oh, sorry, for the petitioner's property. Is your property considered a feedlot? No, I don't think they have enough animals to
Okay.
be considered a registered feedlot. Yep.
Are you referring to the recommended conditions on page 6, the 4, you said?
Page 6 that has page 18 in the lower right as well. Yeah. Yes.
So number 4, the petitioner shall obtain all necessary permits as required by St. Charles Township. Okay, and after, if this is granted, Winona County and the state of Minnesota to include meeting the state electrical code and obtaining the required permit and inspection if applicable. Now, I don't know that we've ever outlined the state electrical. We say, all applicable federal, state, and local regulations. Is there a reason to highlight the state electrical code?
We have had it in conditions before that are for dwellings.
Don't remember seeing it specifically.
CMS has really made that a strong point that part of their process for going through permits is using the state electrical code for approvals.
And I guess at some point in time, I have to understand how this affects a subcultural group in our community that does not use electricity as a source of.
That was a big question at the Saratoga Township when they talked about that families that do not use electricity shouldn't have to have a junction box to their house, so.
Yep. And it does say if applicable at the end of that condition.
Just to clarify for you, we did meet with CMS last week, and they did indicate that really they cannot, it sounds like they cannot require electrical to be installed under building code.
Any other questions for me?
Anybody else have any more questions for Olivia? Everett,
I'd like to ask the group's opinion on adding a couple more conditions. I think there should be something in here for some kind of penalty for all after the facts permits. And do we want to add a condition that since this is an after the fact, that if the son is no longer working for the business, can that house not be lived in anymore? Similar to hired help on a farm, when that hired help leaves, the trailer house has to leave.
yeah, they get 2 years, right?
Well, something, but I'm just asking, do we need to add a condition similar to that in this?
I think when we get into the, talking about the petition, we can discuss this further, Everett.
And I can touch on that just briefly too. So we do have a section of the ordinance that someone can apply under specifically for workers to live on site. They're requesting this as just a standard dwelling on less than 40 acres. So they're just, yes, the son is working on the business, so consider that in your discussion, but they're not applying under that specific one. And then what was your first question?
Penalty for
Yep.
getting permitted.
Yep. So after the fact, that was something that the Board of Adjustment discussed as well. We can charge double a permit fee. So they're required to pay $450 for the conditional use permit. You can add a condition if you want to double that for the after the fact, it would be an additional $450.
Any other, Jordan?
We did discuss that today,
Mm.
by the way. It came to a vote and it was a tie vote, so that motion failed.
Okay. Now, we're all clear how far we've gotten here so far. Okay, thanks, Olivia. Okay, at this time, I guess the petitioner has the right to speak. Would you please come forward, state your name and address, and tell us what you got to say?
Do we need a motion to open the public hearing?
Oh,
Not yet.
no, not yet.
Oh,
This is before the public hearing, right?
Jake Shetler from Utica, Minnesota, 27021 Wilnow Lane. And that's my cabinet business there, and my son works in the shop there. And we actually moved part of the smaller part of that, we moved in. And then we added to that, and we built that on posts so it can actually be moved again. And that was one reason we didn't get a permit is we were always told if you move a building, you don't need a permit. Most of my buildings are actually moved that I have on my property. So we moved the little one in, and then we added to it. And for the time being, we actually built that for a storage building. But my son got married and needed a place to go. So I said, okay, you can move in that for the time being, and it's just temporarily. It's not going to be forever. It was actually built for a storage building, similar to a house. So that's where he's living for now. And, eventually the house isn't big enough for a big family, so eventually he's going to be doing something different. But for temporarily, that's where he's living.
So this building was constructed elsewhere, and then the cement foundation,
It's sitting on a cement slab, yes.
and then moved into that.
Yep, set on the slab. And then the one we added, that's also set on a post. So if need to be, it can be moved.
I have a question. So would you consider this a temporary dwelling in any way,
I do.
right?
I mean, it's not going to be their home forever.
Okay. But this parcel will be the site of their future permanent dwelling, do you believe?
Not necessarily. I mean, it can, if the permit go through for that, it might be.
Sure.
But as of now, I'm not sure.
My only concern is that part of the topic that's in front of us for giving recommendation would be to permit this as future and buildable,
Okay.
on acknowledging that it's too small for dwelling density.
Mhm.
So if we permit this tonight, or, if we give recommendation to permit this tonight, it may maintain that going forward. So
Mhm.
it would, probably save you a couple steps if it did become the future building
Yeah.
site or the anticipated building site of your son's future dwelling. But,
Right.
Just understanding that, making sure that's communicated, because that may come into conflict with if you want to ultimately move it somewhere else and have
Mhm,
that be a much
mhm.
bigger space.
And it's that, it's also built in a way that we can also add to it if we want to. If we are going to make a, a permanent building site out of it, I mean, dwelling site, it can also be added to it.
Mhm.
So it's whatever, as of now, our goal was not that to be uh, a building site forever. It was just a temporary dwelling. But if the permit does go through, it might be considered down the road to do that.
Louis,
Is the building sitting on top of the cement? Is it fastened? But it's set, is there any wood between the foundation of the building and the cement?
Any wood between the foundation and well, it's a slab.
I understand that, but what I am asking, do you have a shingle in between the foundation of that building and the cement?
Is a shingle or,
It doesn't matter how thick it is. But if it's on the cement, it's considered a permanent building. If you have a piece of wood between the cement and the building, then it is not a permanent building.
it's just sitting on treated 2x6s. So it doesn't rot.
I understand that. Nuance in buildings between considering to be temporary and or permanent.
Yeah, it's
If you set on cement blocks, a building, I went this years and years ago, an assessor and the old boy, we were on the farm, he had a corn crib. Old fashioned piece of crap, what they are today. Corn crib, the old boy put a shingle between the cement block pillars and the corn crib. So the corn crib wasn't permanent. It's totally in the law on this. And if there isn't nothing between, that building would be considered permanent.
I mean, the way it's
Could
sitting,
be moved, yes,
the way it's sitting now, it could be picked up and moved.
and that, but if it's sitting on the cement, it's considered permanent, would be for the tax assessing and anything else. That's all why I asked the question.
Yep.
are there any other questions at this point?
For the cabinet business, is all of the construction done on site and then brought to, I guess my question is, do customers come to the site or do you generally just go to the customer?
They come to me first.
Sure.
And then I go to the house and measure and build the cabinets and take them to the house and I install them.
Is there, for parking, is that pretty well established? I imagine.
Yeah.
not. Okay,
Yep,
fantastic.
in the front. Yep. Now, the part that's on cement though is not the living quarters.
Oh, thank you. I do have it mixed up in my head then. So as we're looking at this, the one with the blue roof is the livable
Yes,
component. Okay,
setting on posts.
thank you.
No. Now, the blue roof is the shed, the larger. Dwelling.
That's the living quarters.
Yeah, it does say it has a dwelling inside. I just see that now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm confused now.
Yeah, so the north one, in that downright photo, the northern one with the blue roof, storage with dwelling inside. And then the southern one is, as I understand it, sir, is just the storage, as it says, wash house and bathroom. Thank you.
Bathroom.
Okay, the way that picture was taken, it's, when you go up Wilno Drive, you're looking south at it. And I guess the blue one is the one that has the porch underneath, under it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's sitting on, yep.
Yeah, my perspective was off, so. What do you actually store in the storage here?
In that storage wash house,
Yes.
it's just their canned goods, their personal items that they don't use, like what you would put in your attic, basically. Extra beds, extra cribs, whatever.
So it's not part of the storage for your cabinet business?
No,
like you don't
no.
have propane in there or others?
No. it's all there, it's all my son's personal belongings that he puts in there that he doesn't have room for in the house.
Is there any other questions?
Do any children live on site? Have they started their family yet?
They've got one child.
Okay, unless you have something further to say, Jake, thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Louis makes a motion to open the public hearing on PC 4-16-2601. Gordon seconds it. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye. Opposed, nay. The public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak to this docket item, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what you've got to say. Is there anybody online, Dicey? Okay. For the second time, anyone wishing to speak to docket number 1, please step forward, say what you have to say. For the third time, anyone wishing to speak to this docket number 1, please step forward and say what you have to say. Now, I do have to do this once more, or this is enough?
3 times.
3 times, okay. Do I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Louis moves.
Second.
Yeah,
Shep,
Shep.
second.
yeah. I have an awful time with your name and Steve's.
It's all right. I'll turn it this way.
I'm getting senior moments. Yeah, that would help me, Shep, but that's fine. Okay, all those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. Now, at this time, we go into the discussion on this petition. Anyone want to start? Jordan?
Sure. Some points I made earlier today were that when we're looking at places for development, I think we try to put houses near each other and not have a house every 1/8 mile, 1/4 mile. It's kind of nice to have it all clustered in this area. He's not traveling down township roads to work. It's a 5-acre parcel that to me seems perfect for a house. It's just the issue of it being after the fact that we were so hung up on.
Everett, you had a point?
I really do feel there has to be some kind of penalty for all after the fact permits. I do think this is potentially a gray area because is this a permanent building or a movable building? If it's a movable building, does he need a permit? You know, we're right on the line there. Maybe this penalty shouldn't be as stiff as one for a true permanent building. I don't know. I'd like to hear other people's opinion on that.
Steve, would you like to comment on that, or?
As far as whether it's a permanent or temporary building, our zoning ordinance doesn't define what is a temporary, what is permanent. But under the state building code, it basically boils down to whether it could be taken apart and transported and is intended to be temporary, though it still has to meet all, code requirements that a regular building would need to.
Is there a size limitation? Because I'd always heard that if you were within this a small size, that it didn't really matter one way or the other. But
yeah, I'm not aware of a size threshold that delineates it. 200 square feet. Oh, there you go.
yeah,
200 square feet.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. So this is well beyond the 200 square feet that.
Thank you, Steve.
Another
Mike?
question for you.
Okay.
Yes, he said he wasn't aware of any ordinance, if you're moving buildings and stuff, is there a building permit requirement if you are moving buildings?
Yep.
Okay,
Just,
You know,
wanna
that's
make
been a
sure that we clarify that
misconception
first.
since day one, temporary versus permanent. The ordinance does not distinguish. A structure is a structure, even a mobile home or modular is temporary, but we require a land use permit for, as it was a permanent. It may be permanent. Most of the mobile homes, and modular homes are permanent structures. The misconception is it wasn't until 2011 where we started requiring everything in barns. But whether it's temporary or movable doesn't make a difference. If you something in you place and then we have a $2,000 value, if it exceeds both of those thresholds, you need a zoning permit for that. That's the way we've kind of operated since day one in this county.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Gee, can I ask,
Oh.
what is the intent of this at our, related to this petition or?
It's for the following petition.
Oh,
Yep,
okay. okay,
yep.
I didn't know. I do have Olivia though. Mr.
All right,
Chair.
go ahead.
Page 517, you refer to the final composite map utilizes a scale, figure 49. Is that map in the, I didn't find it.
It's not, no.
Oh, okay, okay. And can you give me a little bit more? That's kind of one that pops up just every now and then too. We don't use it a lot. I mean, as decision makers, maybe staff does. Hey, Eric, know that?
The comprehensive plan, you're not gonna see a very favorable score unless you're right on the doorstep of the city limits. Everything out in the ag district is gonna have a score that's not palatable to that finding. That shows the kind of the problem that we have with these conditional use permits for the increasing the density with the 10 conditions, because almost always we're gonna have a score that is not favorable because the intent of the ag district is to to severely limit new houses and new splits. So that's always a tough one that that was one of the criteria we wanted with the 10 criteria for this type of conditional use permit, and we struggle with it every time. There's no good answer unless you're right there in an urban area, right at the doorstep of a city limit. It's gonna have a higher score because the composite score is taking in about 25 or so factors. That basically is answering the question, is this a good growth corridor to allow more building?
So the building boom going on in downtown Nodine would get a high score.
Around the CD area, because it does have amenities. It is an urban area. It's a historical hamlet, which allows infill is what the thought pattern was with it.
Okay, all right.
Eric, with this site here, how did it come on the radar?
I believe the assessors department turned it turned it into us.
Okay.
They were doing their township, their reports, and they kind of canvass township by township. And when that one came up, it's like, do you guys have permits for it? And we went through our records and we couldn't identify it.
Okay, so, but it wasn't like a complaint from a neighbor or anything?
No.
So just for my clarification, there should have been two permits for this, a permit to move the structure and the
Additional building, yeah.
and the CUP for actually putting it there, or another permit for putting it there.
Correct. We require a development certificate. That's our land use permit to establish a building site. And that covers any number of buildings that they want to put on there. But we technically would review that and identify that, oh, this is less than 40. In order to establish a building site, the process would be to get the variance, and then to get the conditional use permit, and then we see there's a neighboring feedlot and then it doesn't meet the soil requirements because it's a new building site. So yes, we're starting from scratch in that essence.
I guess, how do we communicate to the community that these permits are really needed? Because there is a barn that's off of County Road 35 where I've seen structures built and then moved out of there. I'm not sure where they're all going, but, there's nothing to tie these structures to the ground because they don't have water coming
Right.
up through the building, or they don't have electricity coming up through the foundation. So, basically anybody can just, any size of a building, if they build it elsewhere, put a slab down and put it down. And if there's a misunderstanding,
Mhm.
how do we get the word out?
Yeah, we've had an ordinance since 1970, and it's been pretty similar from what I can tell. Yeah, they used to have signs at all corners of the county lines that said, You're entering a county that's zoned, all land use permits and whatnot are required." And so, yeah, we try our best. And, the townships that now are striking out on their own, and we met with the CMS people. I said, we spend the 3 townships that they're getting into, they're gonna spend a lot of time, on that factor, because I know we've spent a good share of staff time on that.
So
end.
my question kind of, it's, confirms the fact that, this is nothing new
Correct.
and the knowledge should have been out there.
Correct. I mean, the question came up at the variance meeting, and I think 5.10 is the enforcement section. And there's a whole menu selection of way to bring something into compliance. While getting in that, we try to work with the property owner to get compliance. And that this is a result of that, is you have an applicant that is trying to get the right process in order to legalize, what's occurred and what they want to accomplish with it. So, that there is some financial impact too. I mean, the individual in making this variance and conditional use permit has already paid $1,000. That's been a sticking point for the county board, some of these fees, that we charge. And unfortunately, I think those are going to be going up too, just because of the budget position we're in.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Yep.
Okay, I've got one
Um,
more.
Now,
With where they're anticipating the new boundary line to be, is it already too close to one of the structures? Like, is it, I believe if I saw correctly on one of the last slides, it shows it effectively right on, I don't know if that's a section line there, but that barn to the west side, how far is that setback and will it?
Actually, the closest part of the neighboring feedlot that has horses was right at this point.
Mhm.
So part of the discussion is they would not be able to really expand that feedlot if the variance was granted. So they're kind of locked in at a certain distance, what it is at this point. This probably is a section line, and that's probably some of the reason why the parcels are such. Even though that this was maybe one larger farm, if there's a section line, the auditor, when they created the parcel records, they have to be different parcel numbers. So if some of you get multiple tax parcels in the mail, it's probably because something's in a different section, or in some cases in a different township. Those are all gonna be different parcel numbers, and you get a separate parcel record for each one. I don't know,
Okay.
does that answer it?
Well, and again, and then just, excuse me, when they sought prior permitting for that barn that's there, that's right on the, again, the western edge center of that lot line, it looks like it's right on top of
The
the,
structure here? this
one north, that with the white roof right there.
Yes, I believe, we did go through a public review process for the CUP business, and there was probably existing buildings when he bought it. And
I
so, yes, I assume there was. I didn't see anything that would say, that there's something that's not in compliance. But yeah, that's the problem, because if you have historical structures that were built close to lot lines, it's right on top of it. So, if they wanted to rebuild that, that's something we'd have to look at just to see what the setback is currently with it.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Eric. Okay, now let me remind you that our discussion here is basically considering whether we should allow this building on less than 40 acres. So let's keep it to that until we get this decided, and then we can have discussion on other things afterwards. Anybody else have anything to say before we go to the findings of fact? And I think in this case, we should probably touch on each one of them.
It's,
But
For the this petition that we talking about, that's lit on. Your binders are split up because it was sold and
Yeah.
then so.
At this, but there was no numbers on there, so I was really confused. So Olivia straightened me out tonight. But,
Started tonight on this permit then legally because it's not fee schedule at this time.
No, the ordinance gives the authority to enforce a violation of the ordinance. So yes, you can do a penalty if you choose.
We would have to move to add a condition that would double the permit fee.
Right. And then I think a second step, if we wanted to make it permanent, we'd have to put it in our fee schedule versus case by case. And
Yeah, and that would eliminate the need for a discussion if it just adopted by the board as just a penalty if it's an after the fact
did you
permit
say, what is it? 300 up to
up to 1,000.
1,000?
We're just touching base with Eric here. We believe that the double was just kind of a kind of department policy. In doubling the fee, you would fall between the 300 to 1,000.
okay, thank you. Now, Everett, do you want to make a motion for this petition?
I make a motion that we add a fifth condition that the permit fee is doubled for being after the fact.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Jordan will second it. All right. Is there any further discussion?
I would just acknowledge that, again, there seems to be just some lack of communication between people that are unaware of the ordinance, however long it's been established, and the situation we find the petitioner in tonight, where again, they were under the assumption, it's an incorrect assumption, but that this was a non-permanent structure and is not required to have permitting. Again, incorrect assumption, but I'm for what they're having to go through tonight, I feel as though this is enough. They're already going to have to survey this parcel. And am I correct to assume that they'll have to get a building permit? That building permit will come with inspection?
They will need septic as well as zoning/building, but again, that goes through the township at this point because they've elected to take it over. So the county's involvement would end after the decision on the conditional use permit.
And if I understand correctly, the septic has to be maintained on site. So because they're making a new dwelling parcel, it has to have its own septic. That septic has to be to state code. We're looking at already about $20,000 to $30,000.
Yep, so they installed a holding tank, did not get a permit for that holding tank, so they will need to work with CMS, which is the company that the township has hired to make sure that whatever septic system they are using going forward is meeting state code, correct?
And I don't know if that was ever challenged. There was
Mike, I think.
Well, Shep, you're talking about hardships, so it's written in the thing. If you do it and ask for permission afterward, the real thing is you take it out.
That is the alternative that sits in
Well,
front of
that's what the thing is. So when you're talking about hardship, that's kind of a good message that I'm sure he'll share that with him when he goes back home, is that you know, all these things you better ask, even if you don't need it.
Right.
Because that is how it's written, as I read it in here, is that the zoning board or they can require you to take it out. Huh? Yeah, remove it and then ask for permit and do it again.
Olivia,
So I had that conversation with the petitioner. We sent him a letter and said, hey, it's come to our attention that it appears that there's a structure that's being used as a dwelling. You know, please come in and we can talk about this and figure out what needs to happen. When he came into the front counter the day after receiving the letter, we had the conversation of, okay, if you put this structure up and built it and there was not a dwelling, you would not need to go through public hearings in order to have that structure. It would be just a zoning permit, over the counter permit. Because he wants to maintain this as a building site for a dwelling, so in the future, if the CUP is approved, technically, he could remove this structure, put a new house in the same location and would just need a zoning permit. He elected to move forward in that path. He could have taken the dwelling portion out of this structure and just no longer use it as a dwelling. That could have been an option.
Marcia,
I don't know, there was a court case in Fillmore County about septics, and I apologize, I don't know how it went through several layers of courts. I don't know what the result was that, but they were fighting the whole idea of having to have a quote, modern day septic system. But I don't know what happened. I know it was fought for quite a few years.
thanks, Olivia. All right, we got any other comments or questions?
Just one comment, and it doesn't really pertain specifically, but the fact that in the townships, we see several of these instances where the buildings have appeared without having permits up, schoolhouses, other things, and it's just that it's difficult to keep coming back and saying, okay, we're going to apply for a permit afterwards. We're sorry. That's just this comment.
Okay. Now, we have a motion to add condition number 5, right? And Jordan seconded it. Is there any other discussion?
I will state again, to reiterate my point, if this rule, our ability to apply a fee for this is not something that's already been determined, it's at the whim of this board, or again, at the recommendation of this board, I don't think it's fair for us to not apply it then universally previous to this. If there's ever a chance for, again, anyone to take it easier on their neighbor and it's at our discretion to do so, I feel as though it's our responsibility to do so. If that decision's been made for us, that's part of the rule. But I don't feel that there is anything we can apply to this that makes it okay for us to make this any greater than it is already. Because again, this is already a very large expense for this individual, and we have the choice not to. I understand there's a frustration in people coming in after the fact, but I think until that choice is again taken out of our hands, I don't see why we have to make it any harder than it already is on this individual. I think moving forward, that decision should be made for us. They're coming to this board. They're already going to have to pay some, 2, 3-fold, whatever the building cost is. But if we don't have to, I would caution everyone as to why would we want to? Other than just make it hurt enough for him so no one does it again in the future. But we haven't applied it uniformly. So why should we single this one out tonight?
Because maybe you start somewhere.
Fair. And I hear your point.
My comment to you is, why should anybody get a permit? Everybody.
I would
should come
agree to
in.
that. Everything I've ever built, I've always asked.
And if they don't catch you, you never get a permit. Why don't, what the whole.
Why would you pay the first 500?
Because it is still, again, like
No, why would I pay it? If you don't catch it, I don't even pay the first 500.
because there are concerns about public health if you don't get certain permits. There are concerns about housing density if you don't get the permit. I think that's reasonable, but if I'm left with the choice of let's financially harm this individual or not, I'm going to choose nearly every single time to not.
It's all based on taxes. The permitting, in my opinion, this whole thing of permitting and everything was so that the tax can be collected on the properties. And I think that's how it all got started many, many, many years ago. is they wanted
They
to-
didn't want the assessor doing his job originally. I remember the old boy on the farm. He was assessor at one time. What you're saying is they didn't, the people were going around, they were getting lazy because they wanted to know what was going on. And the fee structure just gets, as government has, it has an insatiable appetite for the resources of people, so the price of the permits keeps going.
That's
So
great.
there is some reason set aside, like not to build in the center of the road and
Yeah.
that type of stuff. That's common sense. Stay so far away from the road, but
Well,
Okay.
I do have some concerns and I don't know where the 3 townships that are going and the CMS that is.
That isn't our
No,
problem.
it's being taken off the plate and we'll see how it works. We'll have to monitor, Again, I'm a little concerned that we're approving something, but then they have to still go to the St. Charles Township and get some additional. So I don't know if that's gonna complicate the issue or not,
well.
till we get the whole transition done.
I mean-
They applied for the permit before their zoning went into effect. So the county.
Actually, it's gonna be a
Yes.
county
The
thing on
county
this
is the
one.
ruling
Yeah.
authority
Probably the last
For this one.
for this,
Probably the
and that's
last
probably
one.
the last one.
Yeah.
In there. And then when they find out how much the other boys charge, it might not be so happy.
Time will tell.
Yes, I know.
I would move to call a vote.
Okay, it's,
Second.
Jordan moved to call a vote and,
John.
John took and seconded. All those in favor of calling the vote?
I would ask, are we calling?
This is for the petition,
The
Or the
fifth condition.
condition.
Yeah.
We're all clear. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Show of hands.
Show of hands. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. So the motion's passed or carried. Okay, now we can go to the whole CUP thing unless you have other conditions or that you want to add. Or amendments, I guess I should say.
I would move to recommend this petition for approval with the addition of the 5th condition.
Conditions and.
And the finding of
facts.
Find the facts too.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm
Second.
sorry,
Specifically what?
Page 22. Yeah. So to be
Okay.
perfectly clear that the Board of Adjustment didn't assess any additional fees or anything.
Correct.
Okay, all right. It was discussed, but it failed. Okay.
Yes.
Everett or not? Eric, do you want to?
Jordan made motion for the.
Oh,
Oh,
John,
Second.
John. Yeah, all right. So now we've got a motion and we got a second. Are we going to discuss anything else? Okay. Louis moved to vote. So all those in favor of,
We have to have a roll call by the rules we just adopted.
oh, okay, we got to have a roll call. All right, so where do we start on a roll call? Everett, do you want to?
Is the recommendation in, is this vote in recommendation of the
Amendment
The-
5.
the
Condition
amendment
5.
5, or excuse me, in approving this CUP with all the 5 conditions? Is that the
Right.
recommendation? Thank you.
Findings of facts.
Thank you.
And what is the 5th condition?
The one we just added.
The one we just added.
It would be like a duplicate fee of
Okay.
2-fold or something. Twice the building permit cost as a violation fee.
Clarification, thank you.
I'm in favor of approving the proposed CUP.
Okay, Louis,
Aye.
2,
Nay.
all right,
Aye.
Mike,
Approve.
Marcia,
Yeah, approve.
Aye.
John, Steve, and John.
Approve.
All right, and I'll approve too. So the CUP permit is moved and passed to recommend to the county board for this CUP. And so your next meeting, Jake, will be at the county board meeting on Tuesday, May 12th at 9 a.m. Is that all we need to do on this one? Olivia, okay, I see a thumbs up. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just people to give some thought. Some conditional use permits require a lot of staff time. And to have a flat fee, at some point, maybe there should be a graduated fee if they require more environmental reviews and more legal things and things like that. Just give that some thought to make a recommendation at some point, because some are very straightforward and easy, and some are very complicated and then require a lot more staff time. And that's what, that's what we deal with.
In most of the zoning violations, we do have the ability to increase anywhere from 200 to 300 to 500. However, to get property owners to work with us to get, a violation is typically administrative and where it's not going to rise to a level of a variance or a CUP. It's something that we do in-house. And for the sake of efficiency, we have a forgivable amount that says if you get a hold of us and you start working this out right away, it's probably only going to be half of the fine that's mentioned in the violation letter. So that's our catalyst, that's our carrot. And then we save the stick for ones that tell us to go pack sand, and then we have to grind it out in other avenues. So we do have that ability on administrative permits. Where this one gets awkward today is where it's arose to a variance in a CUP level, so.
And the point that you made is if they come to you first.
Yes.
Before making a decision, then we would have avoided all of this.
Right.
Mike,
I have a little bit of concern, just the comment he made is most of my buildings have been moved. Wow. How many other ones out in that area are in that situation that we have to clarify this to them so they're not just build and do whatever you feel like doing.
Right.
The shingle.
There are rules I've had to live by and
It goes back to when you said on the foundation, we could discuss that later, but it had to do back when they had the personal property and real estate taxes division, but because a lot of times in the old days, they had brooder houses. And if you sat it on cement logs without the wood shingles, it was considered a permanent structure.
Thank you.
Set on a cement block or a stone, that needed a permanent foundation.
I got some shingles at home. I'll remember to keep them in.
Yeah, well, you understand what I.
No, what
Yeah,
you're saying.
and that's.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the,
okay,
people have been around.
let's go on to docket number 2. PC 04-16-2602. Olivia.
Back again. So just a note in your packets, if you haven't found it yet, it is the petition packet that is under new business. It's not included with the Shetler's petition because that one was under tabled. So it should be the only thing under the new tab. In addition to that, I did ask Dicey to set at your chairs tonight this packet. It's 2 pages from our zoning ordinance. I pulled out the list that shows what are permitted principal uses and then what are conditional interim uses under the Ag Resource Conservation Zoning District. We're going to get into that a little bit tonight. This is not current. So you'll notice under conditional use permits, dog kennels is still listed. We're working on getting our ordinance into one version that doesn't include amendments. But for all intents and purposes, it is the list that we work off minus 1 or 2 things. As you can see on the screen, they are applying under 10-4-6-27. I did highlight that as well. 27 lists other uses similar to those listed as permitted and conditional uses. So that essentially means that what they're applying for doesn't have a specific use category under the conditional use in the ARC zoning district. And we will get into that, but their request tonight is for a recycling baler manufacturing business called XL Baler to be allowed in the Ag Resource conservation, excuse me, zoning district pursuant to 104627 of our zoning ordinance. The site location, it's section 18 of Norton Township. This one also, Fremont, sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me. It's a 4.32 acre parcel. Their address is 30786 County Road 33. And it should say Fremont, but along the border of Saratoga and Fremont. This is the site plan that the applicant submitted. So the proposed expansion is on the east side of County Road 33, and then the home and existing business are on the west side. So the home and existing business exist within Saratoga Township. That is one of the townships that has taken over their own zoning authority. The petitioner did get permit approval for the two structures that they are operating their business out of on the Saratoga parcel. However, they have not received approval for the business operation on that parcel. But because Saratoga is doing their own zoning, any sort of rectifying of that situation would go through the township. What we're considering tonight is the business operation on the east side of the road. There are two existing driveway access points from that parcel, and then you can see the building outline there with some office space in the front. This is just a rendering that their construction company contractor did, showing the building similar to other structures out in the Ag District is what they're describing the use to look like. It is a rather large building, large operation of a business out in the ARC zoning district. As I mentioned, there is a loop around driveway. The lighting would be downcast. They did provide a write-up from their construction company detailing that as well. It's the area of disturbance is 0.99 acres, so they are under that state threshold for an NPDES permit. And they have, you'll see in the photos that I took, they have graded the site for the building. So some of the considerations, the petitioner currently lives across the road. They operate their business from that parcel within Saratoga Township. They are applying under the other similar uses to those listed as permitted and conditional category. We do have this drafted as an interim use with the trigger for that permit ending being that the owner, the petitioner, no longer maintains common ownership of those two parcels. So where the home and current business are, and then the parcel across the road. Highway Department and Soil and Water did provide reviews. Highway Department cited some concerns with travel back and forth across that roadway. Soil and Water did highlight the building footprint being rather large and could cause, if there were a large storm or a lot of rain runoff, potentially causing some erosion issues on the neighboring parcel because the building is situated nearer the property line to the east. So there is a condition in your packet stating a section of our ordinance that requires basically any sort of stormwater management happen on their parcel and not cause damage or detriment to their neighbor's field. They are operating with 5 employees currently. They're proposing to expand that to 10 with the increase in the additional manufacturing space. These are some of the photos that I took while I was out on site. In the lower left, there's the aerial view of the proposed building, and then the closest stake is circled there. So you can see they've flattened it out and they've prepared the site. There is an existing dwelling on this parcel as well. I think the current plan is to keep that as a dwelling. And then the new septic system that would be installed for the office bathroom would tie in. So it'd be a shared septic for that dwelling and then the office bathroom with this building. This is looking southwest, excuse me. Looking south. This is looking south down County Road 33. And then looking north, you can see the petitioner's home there in the background on the left side of that photo. This is looking at the parcel from across the road, so you can see the smaller dwelling in the tree area. And then it's hard to see where that building site would be, but it's the flat area behind that. And then this is their existing shop space on their parcel in Saratoga Township. So that should say Fremont, but Fremont Township acknowledgement, they did attend the meeting on March 2nd. They did indicate support for the proposal, and they also provided a letter of justification providing their rationale for the project. So I would point you to that in your discussions tonight. So our recommendation be, as always, that you consider all materials and testimony. We'll walk through this in a second, but our analysis and draft findings do have some of the criteria being drafted as not being met, and I'll walk through those with you in the packet. But should you decide to recommend approval of the condition, there are 5 conditions. Recommend approval of the petition as an interim use permit. There are 5 conditions drafted. And so the findings start on page 41 for this petition. The ones that are currently drafted as not being met, are number 1. So this is page 42. Number 1. 2 essentially states that with the added condition that's already drafted of Soil and Water's concern about stormwater management, that it could be met with that condition. Number 5 is drafted as not being met. And then 6 and 7. And one of the things we considered in the staff review of this petition is that because it's a manufacturing business that's more industrial in nature, we don't have a use category in the Ag Resource Conservation Zoning District that matches that well. And so we've seen other conditional or interim use permits get approved for things like agriculture-oriented businesses, home occupations that are maybe a little bit more industrial in nature. One of the things that came into play with this petition is that because it's on the township line, it can't be considered under the home occupation. So oftentimes if someone wants to run a business on their property that their home is on, they can just apply under that home occupation category. Most of them are considered a conditional or interim use, but because of the way that the land is divided, because that's a section and a township line, we can't consider it. It has to be considered on its own parcel, on its own property. And there's also a temporary small business pathway in the ordinance, but that does require limitations, and it also requires it to come back for review. And so this being a more permanent business in nature, they applied under the other similar use category, and they did provide some justification as well. The petitioners did. That should be included in your packet. Any questions for me at this point, Jordan?
I guess I'm having trouble understanding the home occupation thing. So if you have a home occupation business that is split on a section line or a township line, each side of that, you would have to live on both sides of that line?
Because there's a section township line, they couldn't have it be the same parcel, if that makes sense. So like you have to.
The same home occupation business, right?
Right, but they're different townships. And so it's not, the home occupation standards of the ordinance require that the property owner live and operate the business. Because this land is divided, I mean, he owns both properties, but in theory, he could not own them. And so it puts us in a tough situation because a home occupation needs to exist on the site that the home is. And this site does have a home on it, but he's not residing in that home.
And if he works 12 hours a day, is that living on it or is it?
Any other questions?
Could you again
Yep.
show where in the like where in Winona County this is located? I'm having a
Yep.
hard time placing it.
Just south of,
South and
just south of
Okay,
6, yeah.
okay.
One of the things that the highway department brought up was crossing back and forth between the roadway. And so that is, you'll see in the findings when it touches on existing infrastructure, so existing roads and then traffic hazards. Those are comments that we used in drafting our findings, but those are also things that the petitioner could address before you tonight.
It's kind of a contradiction. Okay, he doesn't live on both sides, but now you're saying because he has business on both sides, then it's an issue. See where I'm going with that?
Well, to me, that's really, I can't really consider that an issue, because if you have a farm on one side and you have a field on the other side, you're always taking tractors or slow
Yeah.
moving vehicles
Well,
across.
it seemed like they wanted to make it an issue out of it.
Yeah, I think that,
There's a lot of farmsteads that are split down a road, even the barns on one side and the houses on the other side.
yeah, I'm not sure that really should constitute as an issue.
Yeah.
Especially since,
they're
traveling, yes?
I've lived all my life off that road or most of it. And there's enough distance that you can look both ways.
Yep.
And
Pretty, yeah.
That
it's
was
fairly safe if you turn around and actually look both ways a couple times, you shouldn't get hit. But now if you live
It's not on a
road-
hill or in a valley that.
No.
No, it's pretty open.
No.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you'll get a chance.
All right, anything else for Olivia?
Lived on.
Highway guy.
Thank you,
You're
Olivia.
welcome.
All right, at this time, would the petitioner like to come forward and
Yeah, that's coffee.
talk to us? State your name and address and go to it.
I'm Randy Targison. I live at 30787 County Road 33. So as a part of the traffic problem, I was worried when I bought the place because the driveway would go across and then went way down, so you couldn't see very well. So that's why if you've seen on there, we raised the driveway up so I could see for safety.
Yes.
Yeah. It's already been addressed, so.
Yeah, that's, I guess that's it.
On the west side.
On the west side. Or no, east side. East side, the new driveway I put in last.
You raised it up on the other side too, I know.
Oh, yeah, I raised.
Where you live.
Yeah, and you're raising up, yes.
I guess, and yeah, I guess I don't know what else you need from me, but
I have a question. Do you have a moment? So,
Yeah.
your business is you repair recycling balers.
No.
Explain it to me like I'm 5. What is
we
that?
do, we do both. We repair them or refurbish them, and then we also build new ones.
So do you have, and again, a baler being a
So-
agricultural implement?
No.
Okay.
Recycling baler, so I don't know if you've been to Miller Scrap or counties like a Winona or Olmsted County or whatever, where all like the recycling materials go.
Mhm.
They process the material on this machine.
Okay,
Crush it and bale it.
Yeah.
okay.
And then
Oh,
they
I
s-
see. And
For
it makes the cube,
transport.
it makes the cube, got it, okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
no
yeah.
longer loose, it's in a confined
Yeah.
chunk.
Okay,
Yeah, we got cardboard bales, aluminum, but yeah, we just make the machines for that.
okay.
And they're large,
Yes,
Industrial.
yes.
industrial sites.
So the size of the proposed build is because these are very large devices, but they're not like operated there. So this isn't, there's
I
not.
test them there.
You test them there, but like this isn't the same.
We don't
it's
run
gonna be-
material there, no.
It's not, okay, okay.
I mean, for once in a while, like if we have one going overseas, we might run some cardboard through, but we just clean it up and then we take it right back.
It's not running 12 hours a day.
No, it's part
Got
of the
it.
test is all.
Okay.
Any other questions?
You're increasing your employment from 5 to 10 is business good or just because, again,
It's
you're,
good, and I'll be honest, right now I have a shop up in Wabasha. I got a good guy up there, which I want to sell that shop to get everything closer to home because it's just a lot of running
commute will
back.
be easier, absolutely.
And yes, and then see, when I started the business, I was just repairing. Well, then Excel Manufacturing was in St. Charles and then they closed. I bought the name.
Okay.
And then I started it kind of blew up on me. So then,
Marcia,
Yeah, we issue conditional use permits and interim use permits, and I have a little, I'm a little concerned, you're making a major investment in buildings and everything. An interim permit would just be as long as you're operating it. And I feel that with your investment and everything, that may restrict your resale value at some point in time or anything, but are you okay with an interim use permit? Or do you understand the difference?
yes, I don't quite understand the difference.
Maybe.
Long-term, short-term permit.
Yeah, I guess the big
She's
thing is if
saying you may
wanna-
want to consider the long-term.
Yeah, if you.
Never
So
ending
that-
or
yeah.
definitely ending.
Eric's gonna answer it.
Yeah, the interim use permit is basically an identifiable time in the future that would sunset or terminate their permit. And that's typically been looking down as far as a sale of the property, different ownership, or if, so yes, it would be a condition that would terminate the existing permit, so.
If you sold the business or something.
But you could get, the
You
buyer
can renew
could apply for a conditional use
The
permit, so,
buildings is gonna be I'm owning the building personally.
yeah.
The business is separate. The business is renting from me personally.
From a yeah,
Yeah.
I understand it. I don't want to restrict you with going with an interim permit. 'Cause a
Well,
new
the
owner
interim,
can-
but if it's an interim, as long, you could open-end it so that as long as that's operated and he owns it, it's, yeah, doesn't sunset, right?
Right, but if he wants to sell it, it ends, and then will the new owner get they can apply
Yeah,
for a
back here.
permit.
Marcia, to me, it seemed the interim use permit seems better, and maybe I'm just not experienced at this, but if you put a conditional use permit, then doesn't that mean they have to keep operating a baler repair manufacturing facility if he sells his property?
They can-
Whereas interim use permit would be someone, okay, he decides to go out of that business and sell the land. Someone else could buy that facility. They don't have to make balers anymore. They can apply for a different use permit.
I think in either
Eric,
case,
can
they
you
could apply for
clarify
a
any of
new-
that at all, or?
Or an amended CUP.
Pluses and minuses for them so that we get.
Eric, you answer the,
Yeah, the way it's been presented in your staff report and the condition is that it is an interim use.
And I'm not crazy about those.
Yeah, the staff's analysis that this should be treated as an interim use permit with a permit termination event being that it's a cessation of the business operations for a period of 1 year. So if they stop doing what they're doing for a year, that interim use permit would expire. Or if it's a transfer or sell to a different ownership entity. Those are the two events that we identified as being the basis of an interim use permit.
And I guess Marcia's concern is if you do decide to sell, then the new person's gonna have to come through and get a permit that's not gonna be guaranteed. And it may not be,
From a business.
from a business perspective, it may hold up your sale.
I'm on board with Marcia. I mean, why did you encourage him to apply for an interim, or what was the reason it was he applied for interim instead of?
That, was, I believe we received a conditional use permit, but based on staff's review, because the sensitivity of this type of use really not clearly being defined as an allowable use. It has some merit as we get into those other uses that have similar conditional use permit. It may have been a more palatable choice to approve this as an interim use permit. But that being said, there may be varied reasons, and I think that's why we threw it out for the planning commission and ultimately the county board to make that call.
Eric, could he at a later time apply for the conditional use from the can he come back to this and apply for the conditional use instead of the intermediate permit, upgraded?
You mean in the future?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, that is a possibility.
To piggyback off that, can we recommend this just be a conditional use? You've made,
Yeah.
the staff has made a recommendation for it to be interim.
Yes,
We can make a counter recommendation, it be conditional.
Based on what the owner wants to do, whether he'd prefer to have.
Eric.
I guess I was thinking I was getting a conditional.
If
Yeah.
it's a conditional use permit, does that require, for example, he goes out of business and sells it to another person who is in the same business, that's clear. But if he sells it to somebody who wants to use the building for a different purpose, does the conditional use permit interfere with that action?
Yes, the conditions are paramount now approval, because if, say, an ownership change and there's something now that's gonna transpire that wasn't represented is what this petition holds. I think legal would advise, and the department would say that there's been a change. If there's been a change, is there intensification? Is there so many more employees? Are they changing their habits as far as manufacturing? We get into all type of, businesses could, so these startup businesses. And then that's how we've seen a lot of conditional use permits have to one up because things got out of hand.
That's why I was thinking it was better for his future sales value.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the type of building where somebody may buy it and decide to do semi repair or.
Then they would have to. come
They'd
and
have to have
apply.
a
then they'd
different
have to come
conditional
and
use.
apply anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So, maybe interim at this point isn't that.
Would staff's opinion change if it was all on the same side of the road? That seems to be an issue.
Olivia?
If it was all on the one side of the road,
If it was clearly home occupation, but then, that's a stretch too, because a home occupation is not supposed to be an enterprise and character which trumps or exceeds the uses of development. And when you have a commercial / slight industrial activity, I think it's a stretch too, no matter how you think.
but if we're looking for tax revenue, the township's gonna benefit. The county's gonna benefit. This isn't gonna be a cheap building.
No, employment, it's all
Employment.
positive things that we've
Wages.
wanted to see, in
So,
my opinion.
and I don't believe I think there's a significant distance between households here, so there's not a noise consideration here, that would impact other users or other, homeowners.
And we don't work this shift, it's not like we're gonna be for all night long.
Yeah.
So I guess just kind of back, we've really muddied the waters here. You're clear on, the difference between the interim and
Well, he wasn't.
conditional use?
He wasn't, I mean.
And which one do you really want to go with?
Conditional makes the property worth more money.
I really
I-
question.
I was thinking I was doing the
Conditional, yeah. Okay, sure. Okay.
So does
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Randy.
Oh, I have one. Randy, currently on the property with the dwelling, so on the west side of the road, there are some pretty big structures there now. How are you using those? Are those just storage facilities or could we skip the slide ahead to,
There's just a small building there now, isn't it?
so on the west side of the road, you own that as well?
Yeah, so that one of manufacturing machines in there right now.
Okay,
The other one's, the lower one's storage.
okay. And then would they still be maintained like that even when you get the space on the east side of the road?
Plan is to bring manufacturing across the road and then like that would be, cause I cut parts and solid parts in there too. Well, I just don't have no room. So that's gonna be more just a kidding area. And then across the road would be the manufacturing.
When you, again, say this conditional use goes forward, you now have that, we have the new building. How much cross-street traffic do you anticipate through the day? And my only concern being, we have a county road and we have a row of trees, there's invariably, we do it 100,000 times, there's gonna be one accident, right? And it could be catastrophic. So, do you have any, controls that you're trying to implement to again, company policy that says look left, right, left,
Yeah, that and then my plan is we're not gonna just be going back and forth, they're gonna get trailer, then we'll be just going across unloading.
Okay.
So, I mean, you might go, I'll be honest, maybe 5 times a day go across, but
And it is a straight shot.
yeah. That's why I said I raised the driveway up to.
Oh, you did say that. I guess my only,
And you can see far enough along.
pretty flat stretch. there.
okay,
through
great.
there.
I can see that there's a row of trees and, you know, before you know it, you're,
Trees are cut, like, those front one, we trimmed all the trees way up, you can see right.
okay, great. They're tall enough
We're
trees.
able- yeah.
Okay, got it.
Jordan,
I've come through there many times with the dump truck, and you're either already slowing down there or you're getting up to speed if you're coming the other direction. So it's not like traffic is just blasting through there. There's an intersection coming up
Okay.
just to the
Right now,
north
you
of
gotta
there.
go slow through the roads.
Yeah,
Oh.
also,
Yeah, that's the other.
look at Marcia when you say that.
Roads are safer. Go slower. Speed kills.
Take the balls off of the brass monkey.
Speed
okay,
kills.
thanks, Randy. At this time, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion.
Jeff makes the motion.
I'll second.
Steve seconded it. All those in favor of opening that public hearing for PC 04-16-2602, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak to this agenda item, please step forward, state your name and address, and tell us what you got to say.
My name is Bryce Lumen. I'm at 22856 Rolling Ridge Drive, Lewiston. Known Randy for the better part of 28 years. He got pretty good business going. I think he capitalized on finding a spot that wasn't prime tillable farm ground. It's close proximity to his current business. I think it's a win-win for everybody. County benefits with tax revenue, and he pumps a lot of money into the local economy. So I think it's a very good thing, and there's improvement. So.
Thank you.
For this, what's that?
He wants to speak to it.
Okay, okay.
You're in the neighborhood, right?
Louis Ryman, I live at 144 County Road 6, sometimes known as I-6. I speak in favor of this action to go on. Randy's been a very good neighbor sitting there. The noise elements have not occurred into the place. Even if he has to run a second shift or whatever, the noise doesn't bother. As far as I'm living, it is, I was originally started out in this business here being on the EDA, and this was the kind of projects that we would really like to get developed within the county, because it'll give back us a better industrial base. Thank you.
Okay, for the second time, is there anyone else wishing to speak on this proposal? If so, step forward and state your name and address. For the third and final time, is there anyone else wishing to speak on docket number 02? Please step forward and state your name and address. See, there's nobody on internet, is there? Okay, do I get a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Louis moved and Everett seconded it. All those in favor of closing the public hearing on PC 04-16-2602, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is passed. Public hearing is closed. Now it's up to you guys, but I'm afraid I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I gotta use the restroom.
Can I make a motion
Point of
to enter?
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
You want to take a 2-minute break?
Yeah, let's take a 2-minute recess. Would
I
you,
think I can make it there in that time.
Right.
I'll step out as well.
Yeah, then I'll make it home without having to stop. Planted the idea.
Oh,
Nobody can figure out. Anybody for Fiddler on the Roof singing If I Were a Rich Man?
Ross, can I ask a question?
No, it's certainly important, but they're not concerned about it.
What happened? As a condition use and not, does that mean he's gotta go back and start all over stuff on again?
Ding.
Yeah.
I can believe it. I can believe it. I mean, to me, it sounds like, just kind of economic development thing that we're talking about in the, planning or in the, comp plan thing. You know, that and the fashion.
In some ways.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, you have to be good for that, yeah.
That's why it was proposed that way.
The conditional goes with the property.
Correct.
That's what it is. It's like a.
It doesn't have to end,
No.
but if we change, have to come back and do it. So that you both ways. You know, we came at this.
You spoke very clearly, Louis.
Well, I was on EDA and this is the type of businesses we really want to attract into Winona County.
Mhm, yeah. It's the kind of thing that,
I wouldn't have mind sitting that time you talked about the Ford plant coming down here, building up on the hill, up there on 43. One 160 acres, there was talk about it years ago. Just think how much that would have brought into the community.
Well, it's not often that a business as large as this, you have the ability to place it where you don't have the.
right, yeah.
Well, if he's making Baylor, there can come something else that you can make too. You got the ability to make that, maybe.
Then you need another conditional use permit.
Yep. Couldn't be. I mean, if it's manufacturing some kind of item.
Okay, I made it to the bathroom and back. So let's proceed. Is there any discussion?
I guess the big discussion I have is, are we going to be talking about an interim or a conditional?
Well, let's go into it. Everett,
I think the letter from the township that they're supporting it and their reasons why are very important. This is good. Everybody benefits from this business for rural and,
Everett, what page are you on?
53
53, okay.
is the recommendation
Yeah.
from the township, and the letter, their 54 is their reasons why they're
Yes.
supporting it.
Thank you.
I think that's very important. Everybody benefits from this type of recycling business. I mean, we need this. It's very good tax revenue. Of the conditions being proposed, I agree with them all. The last condition on page 45, number 5, the owner shall address water runoff. We are dealing with this situation in our township right now. We have a gentleman built a business on the side of a hill, and 100% of his water is now coming across our township road, and we're supposed to fix it. So, I mean, it's in here that he is responsible for water runoff to protect the county road. So I guess we're leaving it up to the county to enforce that. I mean, whatever, he's gonna have to do something if this does become a problem. It's already in here. I'm glad to see that. I am totally in favor of this, but I question if this board shouldn't recommend this as a conditional use permit and not an interim just to protect his financial investment. I mean, I think we should recommend this as a straight CUP.
all right, any other discussion on this subject? Louis,
I would move that as a CUP instead of an interim.
Second.
okay, Louis moved and John seconded. We change it from an interim use proposal to a conditional use proposal. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of changing the wording from interim to conditional, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's been passed, and so it should. Dicey, you got one more thing to do now.
We gotta prove the findings and facts.
Yeah, now, is there anything on the findings of facts that you want to discuss at more length?
There is no other, I would move approval with the findings and facts that we have in here.
With those conditions.
With those conditions.
Ross?
Yeah, you will need to go through the findings because they were drafted as not meeting. So you'll need to discuss each finding
Each one?
that was found not to meet and develop language as to what you considered and how you see them meeting those findings.
And those findings of facts that were not met were what numbers again?
Number one, number two.
Yeah, yeah.
And Steve will help you.
Olivia told me, Eric, I just couldn't remember what page it was on.
Okay,
That was 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7.
We put up
Steve?
that slide with the condition or the numbers on it, please.
There
we
it is.
go.
Okay, thank you.
Starts with page 42.
Yeah. All right, Steve?
so based on your discussion, I've been looking at the language here, and it seems to me for number one, despite the highway department's concerns, the petitioner has taken actions to raise the driveway and trim the landscaping to have sufficient visibility. And there was also a discussion on the board about the 5 crossings a day is not, is similar to agricultural traffic in the area as well. So I would recommend that those being included in your findings since you've already discussed them. And I don't know if you want to take these one at a time, or do you want
I
to just?
suppose
talk
we
about-
should, just to be on the safe
Okay.
side.
Okay, so the second finding, we had the issue of the runoff from the building that was a concern of the Soil and Water Conservation District. And you have a condition on there that mitigates that, which if you find that sufficient, that is probably a good finding that would support that. And then just it says, given the proposed use, the size of the building is not compatible with the ARC zoning district. Based on your discussion, I would say that could probably just be struck from the finding if when you view the scale of that building, the buildings around it, its relationship to the other properties, if that finding is not accurate in your view, you could just strike it.
Right.
Yep.
Aye.
Yeah, 5. So 5, because this is not being considered as a home occupation and it's just under other similar use, you could probably just strike the last part of that second paragraph where it says a non-agricultural manufacturing shop of this size and a property with the owner operator of the business does not living on it is inconsistent with the purpose of the ARC district. You've talked about the fact that this use is consistent with the needs of the county for employment, economic development, that sort of thing. And I don't think that him or the owner petitioner living on the property is necessary to make that finding related to this. And in addition, I'd also think that the limitation of the township dividing line causing it not to be considered one property is really doesn't isn't a performance standard. It's just a bureaucratic division. So I don't think it's really a substantive issue in terms of granting the conditional use permit. If you wanted to consider this for all practical purposes to be one parcel, I think that's a reasonable position.
Six.
Okay, 6, the last sentence, the proposed use is not an industry that serves the needs or complements the rural area. As you guys have already discussed, that you feel that it does complement the rural area because it helps with the economic situation in the rural area to create jobs and that sort of thing. So in that respect, it would probably just be sufficient to delete that last line. And 7 is similar to the earlier one where he's raised the driveway, he's trimmed back the trees. There's only anticipated to be 5 crossings a day, and it's just consistent with a lot of agricultural traffic in the area, and so it would not cause a hazard. From what I've listened to your discussion is what I took away from that. And I would say you could just delete the last line.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
I would move to adopt the changes as discussed with Assistant County Attorney Kranz.
Second.
All right. Is there further discussion on this motion?
Because if we adopt what he is suggesting, we are then essentially saying we agree with all findings and facts, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. as we modify.
Eric has something.
Eric,
Gordon, who seconded on that? I will.
Everett did. Any other discussion?
So we're approving the findings of fact and then with the 5 conditions that are
Yeah.
okay. All right.
This is now a conditional use permit and
Right.
not an interim.
Yes,
With the corrections.
that
from
were
the
advised by legal. Yes, absolutely. Okay.
So we got the motion. Do we need a separate motion for this part or we can approve the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing.
The whole thing?
Yeah, I guess I could amend my motion to recommend this for approval with the changes and the
Alright.
conditions.
And Everett, you're okay with that? Okay, so all in favor of this part, say aye. Opposed, nay. Now we need a motion to either approve or deny.
No, that was all part of my.
Oh, that was something, you're right. Yeah, you're right. All right, so we're done on this subject, right?
When his meeting is with.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we
It's-
gotta vote on it yet.
We did just.
That was it.
That was it.
We didn't do a roll
It was
call.
all
We
stuck
didn't do a
together.
roll call?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
There's-
Isn't that a new, he's right, isn't that a new
where the heck
update?
did I put that?
Because when somebody's online only.
That's correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
if I was sitting out in my house and I was just zooming in, then we need, and if I want my vote to count, we have to do a roll call.
Or,
I don't know
or
where
if
that-
there's a division.
Dicey, what date was on that note that I lost? May 12th is 9 AM at the County Board of Commissioners right here. Thank you. Now I have one other thing before I ask for adjournment. We've been discussing what we're gonna do about these fees for late applications. And I've been around planning and zoning long enough that I know even if we do say we want to do something about it, it might take 10 years to get that far. But if we don't say we want to do something about it, it ain't never going to happen.
Well,
Everett.
I'd like to comment why I made that suggestion and why I feel this way. For years, Warren Township had our own zoning. I was chairman. I was laughed at in my face more times than I can count by people said, why in the hell should I even come and get a permit? You don't do nothing about it. We can come after the fact if you catch us. So it was very upsetting and disturbing. I come down here and it's like, nothing's changed. Why should it?
Just on a higher level, right?
Yeah, it's, so unless we do something about it, everybody knows they need a permit. It's just, if I don't get caught, I don't need one, and if you do catch me, I'll come and get it, and there's no penalty. So the system is broken.
Ross,
So we did find the language on the county fee schedule and Mr. Kranz feels that based on how it's worded, the after the fact is almost a requirement. It would be you determine the amount between the 300 and 1,000.
How do we keep that consistent? Like is there a ranking of severity or?
Well, like you said, if they make it clean and get things updated, there ain't a lot of staff time in it, it can be better. If, you say pack sand, so to say, as Ross said before, we got a little more work in it, and if we got costs, it should be paid for by somebody.
Well, the fee schedule as it reads now, it would be double the cost of the permit. So it depends on the cost of the permit that they're applying for. And I do think it's a good idea to just take the discretion out of it, and that way everyone is treated the same way. It's a simple, a true or false question, whether they applied for the permit before they engaged in the project.
But if you doubled the permit fee, if they had a $400 permit or a $600 permit, if you double that fee, you're treating everybody, that you know what the fee is gonna be. It's double the permit, not just a blank
That's why
number.
it's 300 to 1,000 depending on, you know.
Right.
So that addresses Shep's concern.
Right, again,
yeah.
so long as, I don't want to be left here being like, oh, well, my neighbor gets a $1 violation fee because I love them and they're great and they take out my garbage for me. But you, who has a business that didn't realize you need a permit, well, yours is 3 times that because I don't know who you are and I don't like you. I don't like the look of your business, you know, like, I don't want to get caught in this situation where it feels whimsical on a government level. Like that feels awful. It looks bad too.
To be consistent.
Exactly.
Gordon, you have something further to say?
Yeah, so what change do we need to make to make that always apply? Does it start with us and go to the county
They're
board?
already on the books.
So it's already on the books, but because it hasn't been implemented really, I would say that you could recommend it to the county board that they basically resolve that this is going to become standard practice for permit fees.
Like an internal policy, is that where?
Yeah.
Well, and history is, and of course, Ross is new at this job, it's been at a staff level. I don't know that the county board has ever asked to implement specific after the fact fine or fee to somebody. Staff usually has handled it and yes and no, they've been very trying to work with the constituent instead of being antagonistic. So, but you know.
Well, yeah, I'd rather not have them feel guilty
Right.
for
Make-
imposing it.
It ain't my
Yeah.
fault, somebody else passed this.
Yeah, it can be our
Yeah,
fault.
or make it easy for you guys too, right?
On one hand, though, if you set an amount, say $500 as a penalty, somebody comes in and their permit's $100. That's significant as opposed to somebody else comes in and their permit is $700. Or, you know, that's why there's the variance there. So that for the doubling, if you just set a static amount, then really you're not looking at the severity of the.
Isn't that your recommendation, is just use double?
My recommendation would be to just have a standard calculation rather than trying to make a judgment as to somebody deserves more, somebody deserves less, because then from a legal, like equal protection standpoint, you open yourself up to potential litigation or problems that we're seeing.
You know, I think we're talking about peanuts here. Someone builds a $500,000 home. They don't care if it's $1,000. Why don't we make it 5% of the assessed value of the structure they're building is the penalty for not getting something that hurts. And then if it's a minor infraction, the worth is less.
It's
it's not as burdensome.
such a big problem, is it?
Depends how hard you look, I think.
It's a problem that 90% of them never get caught. It's just a handful that you're trying to penalize. Everybody else is just
Getting away with it.
getting away with it. Yeah.
And if you, I mean, you could decide what you want to do or what you want to recommend, and you could, you could have Ross, the planning director, present it to the board, and it could be double, it could be something else, whatever you think would be fair and helpful, yes.
Yeah, this time of year, I advance proposed fee changes, so we can, you can provide me with what your guidance, what you would like to do within Mr. Kranz's guidance. And I would bring that forward to the board, which would be approved later this year.
When we're talking fees, is there like an application fee? Like how nickel and dime is it for what goes into a permitting fee? Is it, again, $25 for the administrative process, and then CMS, whatever that's gonna cost? What's the roll-up of a permit normally?
Well, we wouldn't have any role within CMS. So in the townships, they'll be charging the fees. Within those townships, we will no longer have any role.
They're on their own.
They're on
for
their
what
own.
What's the current one for what you do?
Oh, they're gonna have a
control?
great time with
Um,
that.
How do you figure the permit rate?
Those, essentially, usually by comparison of surrounding counties is how everybody tries to stay in the same range. And try to have it reflect the staff time cost.
It is a house, no matter what, if I'm building $100,000 house or I'm building $500,000. It's a standard $400.
okay, Oh,
So
wow.
certain things are just, and your idea,
Okay.
yeah, some
All in there.
percentage of.
CMS.
It's difficult trying to predict anything, so.
Does a $100,000 house require any more staff time than a $400,000 house? That's the thing, time is money, so it just depends. Some of
And
these
yet
things
you don't
need
wanna make it prohibitive for people to build and do things within your county.
No.
It's a fine line.
And
And,
you're-
you know,
you're
the
getting
penalty
benefit
for,
of
if you choose to
more
take your
expensive
chance on not getting one, oh,
I'd be in favor of doubling the permit. That way, as the fees go up,
And
it automatically goes with it. We're not dealing with an outdated dollar figure. And you're treating everybody equal. Most of your permits are between 400 to 600, aren't they? So, that's the range we're talking.
I think a multiple factor, again, 2 is currently what it's at. I would like it if it was more readily enforced. Again, I see the argument for violators need more than a slap on the wrist or just, being brought in here to do their due diligence, but also having a restitution to pay.
Louis,
We're forgetting one thing. We turn around the vehicles, not up to code, or it's not been there. All you do is demolish 1 or 2, and the permits will be coming and people will not turn around and avoid it.
Really, demolition would be a
You
very
have
strong
to-
statement.
You would have to remove the structure from the site instead of getting your permit after. If you enforced it, you wouldn't have very many friends, but. But
the lawyers
you
would
would,
be
you would
really
have,
busy.
you would have compliance pretty much quick because everybody else would not want their structure demolished.
Steve?
I did want to clarify in terms of the equal protection issue, the percentage of the value of the bill would also be acceptable, because there's if your motivation is to try and prevent people from wanting to not get a permit or doing that, if someone's building a $10 million building, probably $400 is not a real motivator for them compared to somebody who's building a, $5,000 building. Yeah.
But they're gonna go through the permit process anyway. It's peanuts to them, so.
Yeah.
It's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
But is there a cap at $1,000 still?
Currently, our ordinance caps it at 1,000.
So if we were to go with
But we-
property value percentage, we would have to change that as well.
Yeah. But either way is fine. I just wanted to clarify that even though that's different, it's still okay.
like Everett says, now you have a cost to make, who's gonna go out there and research and find out what doesn't have permits?
And we need to remember, we're talking about this, and all we're looking at is making a recommendation to the county board, and it's still gonna be up to them.
Yeah.
And believe me, I don't think anybody on the county board has an appetite to expand staff in the planning and zoning department to
Well, and
do
again, we
something.
found this one because the assessors, you know, how often do the assessors reassess property values?
Well, they're supposed to go every 3
Yearly?
years.
But
I
it's
think.
on.
But how often do you do like a site tour? Like, again, they would have not caught this for how many years if they hadn't been out there
Supposed
recently?
to do it
There-
yearly, but now it-
Yeah, they're out in the townships annually. They're supposed to hit every property once every 3 years, I think it is. But they have software that actually looks at aerial imagery, so that's how this one was caught. The software actually compares development.
We know more about you than you think.
Yeah, and then it can like
Love that
literally
basic
just
government.
flag a building that wasn't there previously.
AI.
You enjoyed your sandwich.
Yeah.
So
Think Compton
Steve,
for college
what-
when you're out.
we're supposed to draft something to recommend to the county commissioners.
Well, it doesn't have to be in writing, but if you, I would say, if you vote to make a recommendation on something and then have Ross present it to give Ross some guidance to what to present to the board, that would be sufficient.
All right,
And I know it's the board's decision, but it also, you know, it gives the board a reason to bring it up and talk about it and.
Well,
and
that's the
show that
important
interest.
part.
Yeah, yeah, so.
Jordan,
I would make a motion that we recommend the county board adopt a policy that would either double the permit fee or the 5% that John had stated of the property value for after the fact.
at their discretion.
But then
Well-
5% would have to be capped at $1,000.
Yeah, it's an or. it's an
Currently,
either
I
or.
mean, I guess I'm kind of leaving that part up to the county board to decide what they, because they're gonna decide anyway, so whatever's more palatable to the
Probably
board.
not gonna be a big figure, you know, in a budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not gonna be making our money back on
No.
this.
No.
No,
Yeah.
we're
But-
trying to get compliance.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Everett seconded it. Any
So-
further discussion?
Again, can you reiterate what is the recommendation, Jordan? Just one more time?
The county board adopt a policy
Scale a fee to something.
yeah, double the fee or anything for an after the fact
But
permit.
we already have a policy to double the fee now.
No,
No, the policy
no,
would
the
be
policy
to,
now is 3,000 and they have discretionary wherewithal to pick how much
Okay,
it's
that
gonna
was-
be.
So that was confusing. I thought we had,
Nope.
we could double it, but.
When they discussed it
Olivia.
today, that was a talk.
Go ahead, yell.
Just one point of clarification, are there specific permits, like a zoning permit, conditional use permit variance? We have a lot of permits, so I just want to be clear that
I would
what
say
you're,
any after the fact would be my recommendation.
Okay, now is everybody clear?
We're making a recommendation to the county board to uniformly institute after the fact violation fees that are at scale with the assessed value of the project.
Or double.
Or double?
Whatever
Any,
they decide.
Or they could-
I
or they
wouldn't care if
could-
it's 25%, but something that scales with the,
We're asking the commissioners to clarify it.
yeah, they, I
That's
mean,
the way I don't
ultimately,
know.
they're gonna pass it, but they should do something that is aligned with what Jordan's recommended here.
Okay, is there any other discussion on our motion to make a proposal to the county commissioners through Ross? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's passed. Now, does somebody want to adjourn?
I'll make that motion too.
Jordan makes the motion and Everett seconds it. And thank you all. You know, I've been to a lot of these planning and zoning meetings, and this did take more time than I had hoped, but I think it's maybe the best planning and zoning meeting I have ever attended because we actually did something, we had open discussion, and that's very important for a commission like this. Thank you all.
We have a motion and a second.
Oh, I forgot. All
We
right,
need now to.
all right,
adjourn.
all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
I get ahead of myself sometimes. All right. Thank you all for coming.